Hello, collective. Welcome back to my channel. This is This and That Tarot. Thank you guys for joining me. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Make sure you hit that like, that share, and that subscribe for sure. But we're gonna jump right into the message. I already pulled a few cards, kind of just listening to spirit when it comes to how I pull these cards. So I kind of pull something from every deck to come about this message, right? The first card out was somebody at one time by being in reverse was pissed that you made some changes, with yourself. You decided to take a step back and analyze, and reevaluate, where you were at the time in your life, on your chart, on your journey, as opposed to where you at right now. And somebody, and maybe more than one person, was upset, pissed. You know what I'm saying? Because the card says this person was still pissed that they couldn't keep you low vibing, refusing to accept change. This either you or this is somebody in your energy that has people upset. And maybe they were one of those people that was upset and pissed that you made some changes, um, and decided not to be karmic, not to be low vibing, not to be um in the group or in the the didn't want to be seen in the light that you were seeing yourself in. You know what I'm saying? And I remember hearing a guy say one time that the guy he used to hang out with, he realized him and that guy only thing they had in common was that they were both low vibe and they were both into the same vices. That was the only thing that kept them around each other, was they was into the same stuff. They both drink, they both smoke, they both didn't really have a job. They both trying to just did a routine thing every day. And once he decided not to do that stuff anymore, he realized just how much him and that person didn't have in common. And the only thing that really kept that person around him and him around them was the fact that they had some low vibrational shit they did together. That was it. But the minute he decided he didn't want to have make time for that stuff anymore, he seen less and less of the person. All right. So by this card being in reverse is giving, somebody that maybe at one time in the past they were pissed, with you, or somebody was pissed with your person, that they couldn't keep them in a karmic cycle, keep them low vibe and keep them, in a cycle with them where they were doing the most, probably, smoking, drinking, hanging out, what we do when we low vibrational. You know what I'm saying? When we feel like we got time and we got some stuff, a lot of shit on our plate, and we just want to, take our mind off of it. And ain't no telling what those things were, those habits, those addictions were, that kind of helped you pass the time. You know what I'm saying? But it's in reverse. The next card that came out was they love the way you talk, good communicating. It also came out in reverse. So it's given, some past issues. Then this could be clarity and validation for a lot of you. This could be something that may have already come to pass, things already kind of had intuitively picked up on, or um, got clarity on, or something like that. But this is just letting you know, this is a message that could also just be letting you know that you were on the right path then. And this is just clarity and validation that, if, this is your read and you resonate with any part of it, you right where you are supposed to be at now versus the things you had to make decisions in, and the universe acknowledging, that made some changes and they rewarding you for that. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, somebody likes how you communicate. They like the way you talk. They like the way you express yourself, even if they not somebody that does this very well. Because I feel like somebody does not. You are like an inspiration to somebody. Like somebody can't really hate and be too upset with you that you not decided not to be low vibe, and you decided not to, go along with, just to get along type of shit. You know what I'm saying? Person. They like that about you. They like the way you communicate. They like how you express yourself, how you go about getting your point across. Even if at one time they didn't like how you did that, they understand why you had to do that or why you were that way. You know what I'm saying? So they got a newfound respect for that. The next card deck I pulled from was a situation thing. And so the two cards that came out, The first one was history. You could have some things that may have happened in the past with this person that may be history now because you don't put it behind you to move forward. Six of Swords. But the card that's clarifying that is interview, talk, conversation, get on the same page. So this may be something that y'all need to talk about. Um, it may be something you be interviewed about. This may be something that you end up um wanting to sit down and talk to this person about to make sure y'all on the same page. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they miscommunicated something. Maybe you said something they just didn't grasp at the time, the same way you did. But there's going to be something, where you and this person have a sit down and y'all talk each step or each situation out and get a clear understanding, of what the other person was feeling, thinking, that nature. You know what I'm saying? Because at the bottom of the card on this interview card, it says talk, conversation, get on the same page. But this is, something, that y'all may need to talk about that happened in the past. It happened already, yeah, but this is a moment where this person can't brush it under the rug and just come back around you, whether this is a lover, whether this is loved ones, or somebody you really held close to your heart, as a friend or somebody like family. You know what I'm saying? Or somebody like a family member to you. This is something that they know they gonna not be able to come back around you without talking about, or you wanting to bring it up, or get some answers. All right. But at the bottom of that deck is poison, toxic, unhealthy behaviors, people, unhealthy behavior, people, toxicity. So, and then right behind that is realization, awareness, finding out, coming to the light. So, like I said, there's some things that this person, could have at one time, felt like, was an issue with them, because you just, made some changes, that didn't have you in the same version of yourself that you was in when you first met this person or these people, or how you started out in this family dynamic, to where you at now, where you may have had to cut some people off for whatever reason to better yourself, to get that space in your life, to do that without any distractions, without any pushback and all that, or somebody trying to talk you out of it or trying to talk down about it. You know what I'm saying? You went on anyway. But like I said, at the bottom of that deck, you got poison. This is somebody that, was coming to that realization that they know they was around some people that it was toxic. So like I said, this could be your person, backstory, because they in your energy. As far as what some of the situations might have been in that connection, then that's what this deck is about in this read. Okay. So there is some history, of the past that, may have happened with this person. They need to sit and with you, that they need to sit down and you both need to sit down and talk, because there was some unhealthy behavior. I'm seeing the devil with that card too. So they know they got some unhealthy, issues, addictions and behaviors, that needed, to be eliminated, for them to be able to see things the way you saw things, because you was once where they were at one time in your life. You just not now. All right. The next deck I pulled from was characteristics that, of who this message might resonate with, who this may be involving, some things about them. So a few cards came out. Unhealthy habits is one on this picture, on this card. This guy is smoking. Somebody could vape as well. Somebody could have pierced ears. Um, They could wear glasses, even if it's just, for the look appearance, just for um, attire, just, part of the accessory. They don't necessarily have to wear glasses, but they could be prescription wear, but for the most part, they may not, just, for show. But this person is smoking. All right. So they could have some, like I said, at the bottom of the deck of this situations deck, it says, um, toxic, like poison at the top of it. So somebody's, unhealthy behavior, bad habits and stuff, also was an issue. Like I said, they did those things and they were that way to cope. to have something to do in the pastime, but it also was a coping mechanism. Okay. But one way you'll know who this is, or if this message resonates with you, is if the person or whoever this message resonates with got some unhealthy habits. So take it how it resonates. I mean, the only person need to take accountability for it is you or your person or whoever this message, is for. But you can do it, in private, or you can do it out loud. It's up to you. You know what I'm saying? The next card is a mole. This woman, it could be a feminine with a mole, but this feminine, she has a mole like right over her top lip, kind of like under her nose, right over her top lip. So you could have a mole on your face. It doesn't necessarily have to be over your lip or anything like that. It could be next to your nose. It could be on your cheek. It can be on your chin. But a mole on your face could be significant, or their face. The next card is redhead. Somebody could, be a natural redhead. Somebody could dye their hair auburn red. Or like I said, it could be a natural redhead, but redhead could be significant. Or somebody could wear a red wig, like with red hair. Yeah, and at the bottom of that deck is brown eyes, man or woman. The next deck I pulled from is what's the T? And the question I asked was, what's the T when it comes to this reading, as to, what's some of the things that the collective would need to know, or what would, make them aware of if this is something they resonate with, this message. The two cards that came out is hustling, making it rain, focused on the bag, money is the mission. So this could have been somebody that at one time in Love Triangle came out. Third party involved, torn between two and multiple lovers. So this could have been somebody that, was not looking to be committed in any way. Then they may have been in several love triangles, Seven of Cups that could have been pouring into, and, or taken from a lot of cups, that was being offered, but not getting any closer to a goal, of being with somebody that was for them. This is somebody that just had multiple lovers. They was just out here for everybody. You know what I'm saying? They were just keeping the options open, for some of you or somebody in particular. But this was somebody that may have been in a bag, making it rain. It could have been, into the nightlife, going to strip clubs and things of that nature, like, adult entertainment, they could have been, pay to play type of person, where, they that you got a fantasy they're paying for, they on to the next, you know what I'm saying? Or getting what they can get out of that connection, for the night, or whenever they bored and they get on down, they move on to the next one, you know what I'm saying? So what I'm getting is this person may have had, a history of that, because of them trying to protect their heart or the emotions getting involved, and just keeping it moving, without having to be responsible for other people's feelings until they caught feelings. All right. So this person could have been in their bed. They could have been, money, money is the mission type of person. You know what I'm saying? And money don't necessarily have to be, that, you know what I'm saying, like spendable, but it can be energy. This person could have just been, going after, what makes them feel good, for the moment. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes being in some good energy of light workers, divine feminines, you have to be mindful who you lay with, because people benefit off your good energy. You know what I'm saying? They thrive off of that healing that you put into yourself, that love you pour into yourself, that, allows you to have this abundance. You know what I'm saying? These breakthroughs, this favor. And some folks want to lay with you to keep from even doing the work themselves, to benefit and pull and do the things that you doing for you, for themselves. They'll just take the short way out, the shortcut out, and just get with you. All right, divine feminine, divine masculine. So you have to be stingy with your loving, all right, and your attention on to people. But this person could have put you in a love triangle, third party involved. Like I said, could have been outside influences, people they hang out with, associate with, family members, even parents. They tell things to, or share different situations with, that, as they go on, that they shouldn't. And they could have been torn between two. They could have been trying to weigh their odds, two of pentacles, trying to, two of swords, trying to figure out who is the better option, weighing the pros and cons with each person, both people. And it could have just been having multiple lovers. At the bottom of the deck, you got legal issues, facing, court matters, paperwork and delays, and dealing with, authority. So, and then right behind that, you got romance, love affair, sex fix, secret lover, passion, over loyalty. And you got ignoring. So this person could have been somebody leaving people on red because they, in their bag. They out here, making with a sex fix. You know what I'm saying? Like just investing their time. That could have been, heavily into porn, watching it, kind of just keeping themselves occupied, with a lot of things that they thought was fulfilling until you came along. You know what I'm saying? And this third party could have been, like I said, outside influences, people they listen to that didn't have the best reputation themselves, didn't have the best rapport in their own love life, let alone financial, status and stuff like that. Or these are people that really wasn't even a friend. They just gave them bad advice to see how far this person would go with listening to their ads too. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, this is, on them. All right. At the bottom, at the top of my makeshift deck, just looking over here, it says don't leave anything out, or it's a no. So this person coming back around, you may be at that point right now that if it's a reconciliation, if it's some return from the past, from lovers or, past friends or associates you done cut off, family members, if they ain't gonna come around and be factual, they ain't gonna come around and, tell you everything about something. Somebody maybe want to come around and confess and tell you something, but if they ain't gonna tell you everything, it's gonna be a hard no. If they leave something out, if they leave something out, and I say that, to say this, when I made that card, it was the energy that I got from a conversation I was having with somebody, about dating and stuff like that. When it comes to the questions you ask and how to get those answered, and the thing was like, I don't ask a lot of questions in the past when I responded, I said, I don't ask people that is trying to get with me a lot of questions or somebody I'm interested in, a whole lot of questions about, their personal life and stuff like that, before me. I mainly look at how they move when it comes to them trying to, pursue me. So if they decide to leave something out that they feel I do or don't need to know, and then it end up being something that come knocking at their door or revisiting them at a time where they in the middle of trying to win me over or trying to, show up for me, you gonna let something that you don't tell me decide how long I deal with you, how long I involve myself with you. So if you leave something out, even if you feel like it ain't important, that's gonna be that's the deciding factor on whether I want to deal with you or not. Because just because I don't know about it don't mean it won't be that it won't create some type of stumbling block or cause us to be at a stalemate, because that was something you didn't tell me to begin with, because you may have felt like it didn't have nothing to do with me. But if it was something that has constantly had a time, or you felt like it may revisit you, if we, you may hear about that situation or that person or your involvement with that person again, you might want to tell me about that. If you're dealing with somebody that's a lunatic, you might want to tell me about that, because it's free will. I still need to decide whether I want to deal with you, knowing that you can't control that situation with that person, even though you walked away. So I let a person decide how long they deal with me about what they tell me and don't tell me. Because why move on and try to, start new, fresh with somebody new, if you still dealing with people that don't even know you walked away from them, people that don't even know you don't really like them, because that you just collecting more bodies more energy from people that you have yet to know what to do with. So at this point, I feel like somebody in my collective is at that point. Like, don't leave anything out. That's what the card on top of this deck says. Don't leave anything out, or it's a no. So this person, may like how you communicate, but shit, not everybody like everybody's version of real. I mean, real is good until you getting real factual with their ass, and they don't like how that feel. A lot of people is saying they want somebody real, but if you keep it too real with them or real with them at all about them, you're gonna see the worst side of them. And that's how you know people ain't ready for real. They just talking. You know what I'm saying? Because you being real and telling the truth, and the truth may have something to do with you speaking up or saying something about them that is triggering for them, but they rather not work on it, like this piss that you changed because they couldn't keep you low vibing, or they couldn't keep the person low vibing, so that they could, keep from changing the food in reverse. It's like somebody constantly in somebody's ear telling them, you're going to go and try to beat what brand new or something. And it's like somebody hating on the fact that you want to do better, like you want to make better choices. You don't want to do the same thing you did for the last 8 years. The fact that they okay with being that way disturbs me. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah. And the angel whisper number also I got for this message is 123, which is vision. It says your path will not look identical to anyone else's. This is what makes you unique. Remember that as you stay the path that feels connected, the path will continue to lead you to alignment. Let your vision be as different as you are. The affirmation for this vision card of 123 is my path is mine and mine alone. When I follow my path, alignment comes. When I follow my path, alignment comes naturally. When you follow your path, alignment comes naturally. So if you see that number 123, like the time of day is 123, or you see that number at all, keep it. It has many meanings. So look it up, and you can come up with your own affirmation for that angel whisper number. All right. But that's what the card is saying, that your path will not look identical to anyone else's. So everybody's purpose, everybody's spiritual journey and path is not going to be identical to somebody else's. You may have several people working housekeeping, but don't mean everybody is a housekeeper. Somebody may work in housekeeping and they do laundry. You know what I'm saying? They don't make beds. They just wash the sheets, fold the sheets, put the sheets up. That's all they do. They don't go inside the room at all. So just because somebody is on a spiritual journey don't mean they all experiencing and facing certain situations at the same time for the same reason. It's like a Bible verse. Everybody gonna get a different version of what they think that verse means. All right. So nobody's spiritual journey and path is the same. And it's not going to look like it makes sense to a lot of people that refuse to awaken anyway. They refuse to listen to the signs. They avoid all the stop signs, the red flags, the warnings they get, because they don't want to change. So they'll be mad at the people that do, because that eliminates you and makes them look like something wrong with them when everybody around somebody is leaving. And not only that, they doing better. So of course, the people you walk away from that see you don't want to be in that, you don't want to be in that swing of things with them no more. You don't want to entertain the same stuff with them you used to. You don't have time for that. You don't even make time for it no more. You know what I'm saying? And the more you try, you can't. The more you keep telling them, hey, I'll be back around, I'm gonna try to make it over here this weekend. This weekend, something, you got something going on this weekend. Deep down in your heart of hearts, you're not gonna be able to make it back. But that's something you saying to keep that person's hopes up, because you don't want them to think you changing, but you are. You are, and they ought to be happy for you. But because it takes you away from them and leaves them sitting on the stoop by themselves, having to explain to everybody riding by why they don't see that group of people around them no more. They don't know what to tell them. They hate they got to say anything because they thought, all y'all was peas in a pod. You know what I'm saying? But as your path aligns, as you follow your path, as you obey, the assignment that you have, and you stay focused on you and block everything else out, focus on you. You know what I'm saying? It's all everything that you need, the tools you need are going to be there for you. And if there's people on your path or you feel like maybe in your way, known or unbeknownst to you, seen or unseen, ask the Most High God, ask your angelic angels to remove them. But don't be surprised if they move the people closest to you. And you fighting like hell to try to make an excuse or explain why you got this and that going on, or that you ain't trying to be acting funny with them and stuff like that. If you find yourself having to do that because they don't have access to you like they used to, or you have less and less time to be around them, it's because you ask for people to be removed that is standing in the gap, that's standing in the way, that may be a hindrance. They're not learning from you, so what else they doing? Dragging you down. They either gonna change you or you gonna change them. Can't have it. You know what I'm saying? Very seldom people that refuse to awake is gonna join you and be able to go with you on your journey. So it's going they feel the pull of you walking away, leaving them behind. Not just lovers. Okay, so this love triangle could be friends. It could be, like I said, people that they really care about, has been in their life for a while. People like family to them, like an uncle, like a brother to them, but they've been listening to them all this time. So to ignore some of their advice now after they then took some of their advice and it ain't work and put them in a worse situation, they kind of feel bad to even tell them that that advice didn't work, because that person gonna say what they gonna say anyway. Like, man, what you listening to me for then? What did you want to do? You asking me like you didn't know what you wanted to do, but you want to blame me because you and so ain't together, or because you went off and went and did that shit. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, like I said, they can have some unhealthy habits. Whoever this reading resonates with, or this is you. This person could have a mole. You could have this mole on your face. They could have one. Somebody could have red hair. They could wear red wigs, red weave, whatever. Could be into red hair. Sexy red could be of significance, but this person want to talk. They want to communicate, right? But it could be any sign. They could have brown eyes as well, man or woman. But that's the message, collective. So make sure you ask your ancestors of the light, your angelic angels, about whatever part of this reading you feel like may be something that you unaware of, and you want to know if it's part of your story, if it's something that you needed to know, if this applies to you. If it doesn't, ask for a sign that it isn't, and be mindful of whatever that sign is you're asking for. All right, but I'm gonna leave it here. That's the message, collective. Until next time, I love you. Bye.